morning, good evening, everyone. This is Luda Kopikina with GAI Insights. Welcome to Daily AI News, where we rate AI news essential, important, and optional. The articles are at gaiinsights.com/articles. So please follow along and let us know what you think about our ratings and about our discussion, and please contribute. Today, I have John, Paul, Ankash, and myself, and we'll go over 6 articles with you. Okay, Ankash, let's start with the first article.
Sure, thanks, Luda. So the first one that we have for today comes from Insight Partners, and it is titled Building a Moat in the Age of AI.
Yeah, this is very relevant because it's not only the startups that this article is talking about. It's in general, it applies to any company and what they're doing with AI. So, John, what did you think about this article?
Yeah, I think this is a great little article. I was going to give this essential. I think it's very thoughtful, and it talks about basically 2 kinds of moats. And sorry, let me give a little bit more context on the overall problem. The overall problem is that when people are building, capabilities or vertical domains or whatever in and around either the large models or even the medium or smaller models, the problem is that it's like the early days of operating systems on the PC. You can wake up the next day and what you thought was a company is now just a feature, within their overall product or service. And so Insight Partners, an investment company, has laid out, they think that there are 2 main areas where you can build a moat. One is what they call workflow moats, and the other is what they call data moats. And a lot of times, and I agree with both of those, because the nuances of workflow are really complex and difficult, and are usually the economists would call it impacted. It's impacted knowledge that is contextually bound, if you will. So how you get information off this sensor, the fact that you have that sensor at all, is something that might be unique or at least differentiated for a company. And then in terms of how you actually get access to unstructured, semi-structured data and make it available, these are both things that are complex and difficult inside large organizations. So their notion of being able to build a company around those is interesting. And I rate it as essential, not just from the investor standpoint, but also for organizations thinking about what they're doing. So, you have folks like Goldman Sachs who are fully committed to, AI first kind of organization, JP Morgan Chase, Standard & Poor's, as they look across, what's going to be differentiated for them and their products and services and what's going to be competitively better. I think this notion of workflow moats and data moats is a decent way to navigate. So I gave it essential.
Yeah, I was also essential. Paul, what did you think?
Yeah, definitely essential. I think the key thing that investors obviously look at is these moats when they're putting millions of dollars investments in it. And they have been more intensely thinking about this issue than traditional companies in the last 18 months. So I think it's a good summary. I also think it also shows, particularly some first, is that the UX may increasingly be less of a moat for companies. So Expedia spent a lot of money on their website and their front end coming into public available data on flights and stuff, and then tracking. That's going to get more and more chipped away by agents. So definitely essential.
Yeah, and data is the new gold for sure. And I think companies that are focusing on that mode, as well as process integration and tooling for that's really very important too, potentially.
The only other comment, John, I'd be interested in your thoughts. I mean, the other thing that's kind of missing here a little bit is distribution. And if we're saying, at least for startups, distribution is a differentiator between winners and losers, no matter how good your damn workflow mode is and data mode. That to me almost feels like an own category that's important for startups. I'm kind of surprised they don't have that as I think about it. But definitely, this is a really good thought-provoking article.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Paul. I mean, the distribution. The other thing is that there is a business system that learns faster than other businesses, and that is defensible. It's a little bit harder to describe before the fact. but you've seen it happen in industry after industry. Walmart was really very good on consumer response, and they were learning faster, and so there are ways to learn faster too. But that's usually when I talk about, when you talk about UXs and UIs, it's funny. I almost think of AI as, I don't know if you ever spent any time in a paint store, but how they have the base level stuff, and then you mix any kind of like color you want. UIs are going to be like that, right? It's like, oh, okay, you want that kind of UI? Well, let's take a little bit of purple, a little bit of brown, throw that in there, because AI is the new UI, as Terry Jones said some time ago, and I wrote about ages ago. I totally agree.
Yeah, and getting it tuned up to be found by AI agents that are coming outside is also a critical component. Okay, so Ankash, we're going essential. What did you think?
I agree with Essential, Luda. I think we are already seeing some of the major firms as well. So OpenAI, they have launched something in the consulting space where they are working with this large set of companies to understand how they are working, how their workflows run, what kind of data they have internally. So I think that's the plan of these bigger firms as well, to get these workflow and data modes from bigger companies as well and differentiate themselves more. So I think an essential read for any AI leader, Luda.
Okay. Essential it is. Let's proceed to the next one, Ankash.
Okay, the next one that we have for today comes from AWS, and it is about their conversational shopping agent, Rufus, and talks about how it provides experiences to millions of Amazon customers with Amazon Bedrock.
Yes, Tim is having power problems and cannot get online. So I'll introduce and let's discuss it. So this article is about Rufus and how, with the help of Bedrock team, Amazon Bedrock, they've scaled it into a really great shopping assistant. And it's a use case where they talk quite a bit about the tools available with that in Amazon Bedrock to do exactly that, and how they built an LLM specifically for shopping, because they based it on their chips and they vertically integrated into capabilities specifically for shopping. So it's an insightful article, and I rated it as important. What did you think, Paul?
Yeah, we covered this last week in an article. There's 3 different things about Rufus here. So I feel like we've covered Rufus. It's definitely an amazing thing they're doing. So I think important is a good rating.
Okay. So what did you think, Ankash?
I was also important on this one, Luda. I think some of the numbers that they claim, we have discussed it previously as well, as Paul mentioned. What this provides us is a look at the underlying mechanism in terms of how they are choosing the models, what kind of tooling they are using, and how they are rolling it out to such a large population, right? So that made it important for me. Okay,
John, going important. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It reminded me of when I was a kid. We used to go to Finally in Space, and my mother would take me down there. We'd go see Mr. Sugarman, and he when I get my back to school clothes, and he was the kind of guy, he could see you coming down the aisle, and he'd say, "Oh, you look like a 38 short this year, right?" And he would have all the stuff there. And I have a particular passion for great salespeople, and Rufus is turning into a great salesperson. So I think this is going to be an important trend.
Yeah, well, the article is timely, right? Because we are coming to the very busy holiday season, and they're tightening Rufus and offering it.
Can I just say one thing? As a person who's been a senior executive at very large organizations, I am just continue to be impressed by Amazon, OpenAI, Microsoft, and Google's and Anthropic's ability to execute. I mean, these guys are launching this, in the middle of Black Friday. It's just amazing. These companies are executing at scale with these unbelievable innovations across hundreds of millions and billions of transactions. That's not easy, So I just, we talk about as technology companies, but they are very well-run companies. My goodness.
I totally agree. It's amazing. Yeah, okay, so important this one is. Let's go to the next one.
Okay, the next one comes from OpenAI, and they are introducing shopping research in ChatGPT.
Yeah, this was mine. Okay, let me introduce it. So this is a new functionality from OpenAI that actually is now available across. To John's point, this is like amazing at this time, holiday time, and it's working. I tested it, and it does very quickly, amazing job at finding things, providing you with a competitive analysis on this particular product, and doing recommendations per your interest. So I find it amazing, but it's an important, I think, for general AI leader, it's an important announcement. What did you think about this, Ankash?
I was also important on this one, Luda. I think all the things that you mentioned about launching this in the holiday season, so it will be interesting to see how this pans out versus Rufus, right? Because we will see a huge amount of usage in the next month or so about this. Another thing I think that OpenAI has done is, so we saw the Walmart news a few weeks back. So they have done a similar agreement with Target as well, and Target will be one of the apps in ChatGPT now. So that's another interesting bit that OpenAI has done. So I think important news, Luda.
Yeah, I didn't go essential because it's just the shopping and it's just new feature, but it is actually massive innovation and massive capability on the shopping side, and the competition intensifies. What did you think about this, John?
Yep, important for all the reasons you said.
Okay, Paul?
I'll start it up. I was triple optional or triple essential. I used this morning, and I use my go-to one. I say, tell me I want to buy an external battery pack for my MacBook Pro. It finds 3 or 4 articles. It does a comparison table across all of them. All this is what I would have done in Rufus or on Amazon. Now, at the end, to click to buy, I go to another site here. But here, one of the reasons I think it's essential for AI leader, just as it's important for them to use ChatGPT to understand it, they as consumers need to look at where this is going, because it's shown in the decoupling of the parts of the UI thing. So now we've got product discovery and vendor discovery in OpenAI, not Google search and purchase over a website here. So, and it's a good UI. It's a shipping product. It's a shipping feature, and it's ready for Black Friday coming up this week.
Yeah. Okay. Well, John, did you get convinced by the passionate plea from Paul?
Yeah, I was on the fence myself, actually, because it's just there's so many important things going on today. I kind of changed my base rate, but I'm okay with essential.
Yeah, I think it's a massive innovation, and the war between Ask Rufus and this capability is just beginning. Tim, we're on the third article discussing the new shopping capability from OpenAI. What did you think?
Yeah, it's hard to give a product announcement an essential, but I hear what you guys are saying. It's certainly important, and this is where things are going. We'll see. Again, it is a product announcement, but they've done a lot of work already, and they've already been down this road a little bit. And this is clearly where they're headed, and it's going to be probably a huge moneymaker for them. I think it's hard to not be skeptical that this is eventually going to be advertising and sponsor driven, but that's another story.
Okay, Ankash, you get the last word here. What do you think?
Luda, I was reading an article, and it was telling that Google has started showing advertisements in AI overviews now, right? So that's something new. So I think ChatGPT is destined that way. So essential read for an AI leader.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, let's go essential. This is pretty massive. This is the war. The war begins, and it will be interesting to see what what data we get from after this holiday season from all three, right? And Ashish is noting that if you go and ask Rufus, what does it know about you? You'll be amazed.
That is great.
Excited, but it is a great insight.
Amazed and terrified. What have we done the Amazon article yet?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we did. This was the second one. Okay, so essential it is. Let's proceed to the next one. Ankash, please.
Okay, the next one is a big one. This comes from Anthropic, and it is about their Claude Opus 4.5. So this is a new foundation model launch from Anthropic. This is, I think, the fourth launch that we are seeing in last 1.5 week. So Gemini 3, Grok 4.1, GPT 5.1, and then now this one. So all these companies, they are running on steroids. So basically what the news is, so Anthropic, they have launched Claude Opus 4.5, and they are claiming that it's a broad step change in capability rather than just another version of their model. And it's particularly focused on coding agents and computer use. So Anthropic, they have tied it very closely to the developer platform that they have, Claude Code. So it provides effort control, it provides advanced tool use, memory, and multi-agent coordination. And it has been able to beat every human on a performance engineering take-home exam that Anthropic has. So it has scored higher than any human on that exam. And people are already doing amazing things with this. So I think this is an essential read. We will be discussing another article about this, the next one. So the combination of two makes it even more essential.
Yeah, and one thing you didn't mention that I think is quite impressive, that it is cheaper at runtime, sometimes half the price. So you get a performance and you get the cost reduction. So this is quite significant. Okay, what did you think about this, Tim?
yeah, I think this is essential. Again, it's a product announcement. I hate to give it an essential, but it is an important product announcement by a leading vendor, and another demonstration that these models are still advancing in capability, and the also that they're beginning to optimize, as noted by Ankash, by providing these various approaches to tooling use.
Yeah, okay. And Ashish is noting that OpenAI is not at the top, and it's 3-year anniversary from the ChatGPT introduction. But look at, John, to your point about execution and velocity of innovations. It's not just execution, but the depth and breadth of what we're seeing, the maturation. We'll have another couple of articles to discuss about the underlying stuff and more innovations, but that is stunning. John, any thoughts?
No, I was on the fence between important and essential. It's continue to be impressed. The other thing that we have to remind our viewers is that OpenAI has retail. Anthropic is really strong on wholesale, right? They're dealing with a lot of corporations, and I think their ability to not just sort of technical community, but I mean, you look at the kind of things they're doing in terms of tool creation, the ability to really automate the inside of an organization. They're strong, and this is a heck of a model.
So, Lula, I'll throw my argument for optional. I mean, I think the vector of all these AI engines are constant improvement. This is my horsepower is 1,000, mine's 1,001. It's incremental improvement here. I don't know what the AI lead would actually do with this. Is he going to stop his current project and switch? No. Is he going to use this, evaluate? No, because he needs to evaluate these AI engines based on his use case, not what their scores are and what their horsepower and IQ underneath it. So, it's just, to me, just reinforcing that's everyday numerical improvement, which they should expect now from these models. So I don't see anything noteworthy here.
Well, I hear what you're saying, Paul, but I would push back because, in fact, I would change models, particularly based on token use. Because I think that's going to become much more important, especially at the enterprise level, as you folks have, and we've all been talking about, is the token explosion. And they put some real effort here that shows 80+% at times token reduction. And that's going to be meaningful. If I see that as an AI leader and I'm building a system, and I've been saying this from the beginning, you have to be willing to switch right now. You should be prepared to switch. I probably agree with you that in most cases they won't, but I think that's a bad idea right now.
Yeah, so Ashish is clarifying about the tokens. It's the reduction in token performance on the execution inference side versus their prior models, but they are competitive with Gemini and XAI, but the performance is way higher. So yeah, but Ashish is actually siding with Paul about the expectations. So we have an interesting range here. Let's see, who hasn't spoken? John, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm important to essential.
Important to essential. I think it is important. It is another step change, Paul. So we're going essential on this one. Essential. I'm using my power of the chalk.
And I think you got to know about it too. It's one thing to say it's just an everyday miracle kind of thing, but if you're an AI leader, you can't be caught not knowing about these announcements and what they contain.
That's true. Okay. So
once you start working with these models, so I'm working a lot with the thinking models across the three set of tools, Gemini, Claude, and ChatGPT. You don't go back to the normal models that they have. You don't use the auto selection feature of the model as well. So I agree with Tim's point that you need to upgrade yourself.
Yeah. Okay, so let's, essential it is, let's proceed to the next one. Paul, you've been overruled.
It won't be the first time or the last.
Okay, next one, Akash, please.
The next one again from Anthropic. So they are introducing advanced tool use on the Claude developer platform.
Yeah, Tim, what did you think about this slew of innovations?
So this one, I will say, is maybe important again, but could even be optional on this one. It's actually quite interesting what they've done and potentially quite powerful, but it's aimed strictly at developers. So this is really a technical article about 3 things they've done to improve the ability to use tools in general, and in particular to improve the efficiency of using those tools. You know, it's hard for me not to, again, get my old man curmudgeon hat on and say, well, of course they should write code to do deterministic and asynchronous calls to tools, because why waste the inference engine of a huge large language model to make an API call that just has to wait for some results from a database? But that is currently what gets done, and it's extremely expensive. So, and also they gave examples. So again, we know this already. Well, those of us who've been in this for a while know that few shot prompting is often extremely powerful. That is, give the prompt a couple of examples of what you'd like. This is just more, again, specific and technical. Give the example of all the tool use, including the data structure and typical calling patterns, and that can help the model do a lot better. And all this leads to faster execution and lots of reduced token usage, which is going to be important as people start going into production. So I was, between optional and important.
Okay, between optional and important from Tim. Ankash, where were you on this?
I was important on this one, Luda. I think so. We have started using Canva, Figma, Spotify, and a few other tools within ChatGPT. And those are, I think, programmatic calls to these tools, which we can do through ChatGPT. I think this will soon come in Anthropic's Claude version as well. And as Tim mentioned, from a developer perspective, this article is essential. But it's useful to know what is coming in the chatbot, secure employee chatbot as well, because that helps you plan for the future.
Oh, okay, so we still are in optional to important. John, what did you think?
Yeah, that was optional. As Tim said, it's for anybody who's followed computer science, it's a common sense thing. It's anyway, So
Yeah.
they're doing some engineering on this. Great. Good
Yeah.
idea.
So I'm sure, Paul, you're optional, right?
Correct.
Yes. Okay. I was optional as well. What I wanted to highlight is that it's the maturation of the whole programming environment. I mean, from the old software engineering perspective, of course, you should use deterministic capabilities if you have them, right, and integrate them. Of course, you should be using prompt caching, right, because it saves you a lot of effort and a lot of tokens. But people have not been doing it. So now these tools are visible and you can use them. So it signals quite a bit of maturation of that layer, but optional. Okay, optional it is. Let's proceed.
Okay, the last one for today comes from HBR, and it is titled The AI Tools That Are Transforming Market Research.
Yeah, that we have been talking about. And John, you're passionate about it. What did you think about this article?
Yeah, I was going to give this article an optional. I think that it's good work. I think they're not finding a lot in terms of the ability to use either digital twins or synthetic personas to actually do market research. Columbia Business School is committing a lot to this, or at least one of the faculty there is, and looks $150 billion market research budget. I think it's the wrong way to look at the problem, because the beginning of cinema was taking pictures of plays, right? This is, to me, taking pictures of plays, because what's going to happen, we already know agents are going to be a big part of how folks search for stuff. Those agents will have an embedded persona and decision rights to do things. The idea of a digital twin of a human or a synthetic persona, I think, is the wrong way to look about the problem. It's really going to be a dialogue between what happens with agents and what happens with your offer. So it's going to be much more like a market and less like a purchase. Well done work. Not a lot of implications for our AI leader. And I'm worried that we're taking pictures of plays, not thinking about what cinema is going to be like.
Okay. Optional from John. Ankash, what did you think?
Optional for me as well, Luda.
Okay. Tim?
Yep, optional.
Okay. And Paul is certainly optional, right, Paul?
Yes.
Okay. Optional it is. So as Ankash is preparing the scorecard, any announcements, Paul, John, Tim?
I've got 6 announcements. I'll go quickly here. So last night we had a fabulous learning lab where Nate walked through using 12 AI agents for developing software. So it was really transformative. Today at noon, we'll have our weekly co-pilot training. That's noon Eastern. We will not have that on Thursday. Thursday and Friday this week, we're not having the daily news because of the U.S. holiday. 5th, we're doing a lot of research on AI first firms. So if you're involved in that, let me know. And lastly, I took Ashis's thing and asked Rufus what it knew about me, and it knows a lot. So if you haven't done it, it's pretty interesting. And now it does combine my wife and I, since we're both buying it, but it's definitely interesting.
Okay. So anything, John? Any announcement from you? Oh, we lost John. Okay. So let's proceed to the scorecard. We have 3 essentials, 1 important, and 2 optionals. 2 optionals. Great. Thank you all very much. Ashish, thanks for commenting. We're looking forward to getting you live here one of these days. So thank you, everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow.